everyone. Welcome back to Susan Dawn Spiritual Connections. Welcome to a brand new special reading. This is going to be an Ascension focused reading. I'm not quite sure what this is yet. It feels a little bit galactic. Feels like it's connected to the stars, to the whole of the universe. If you relate to or connect to the label of star seeds, then this could be considered perhaps a star seed reading. Take it as it resonates for you. Allow yourself to be open to the messages themselves in whatever way they resonate with you. So I took some notes over the past couple of days because I had a couple of dreams in which this energy was really focused. And I want to share those because I had a series of 3 dreams that now feels connected, that now feels somewhat significant. And we're going to do an oracle card reading to see what this might be about and see what the messages are that are coming through. So when we take dreams, dreams are really heavily based in symbolism, as is connection with the universe and our communication with the universe. It's learning to trust within yourself, your own intuition, what the universe is saying to you and how the universe is guiding you, and how through your connection to the universe, you are the universe, an aspect of the universe, how your very soul is speaking to you. So if you like these readings and if you like these kind of channelings, I encourage you to check out my sister channel, Susan Dawn Ascension Connections, where we go really in depth in these teachings, in these channelings with Ascension, with regards to the twin flame or sacred union path of Ascension. That's just one path in which you might be catalyzed to your Ascension journey and to spiritual awakening and understanding as a whole. So feel free to check out those readings, those timeless readings and channelings over there as well. Okay, so it all started on December 23rd, where I had a dream where we as a collective were rearranging the planets. And I know that sounds so crazy, and it was. Rearranging the planets. We were putting the planets almost like back into place. And when I woke up, I remember thinking, what the heck is that? But I remember it felt very familiar. And it took most of the day for me to really connect the dots here. There is an episode of Doctor Who, one of my favorite TV shows, where they all come together, all the doctors, companions. If you guys don't know who Doctor Who is or what Doctor Who is, it's a television show from the BBC where the Doctor, as he's known, is a Time Lord. He can travel in a TARDIS, a blue police box, through space and time. It's an amazing show. It is absolutely metaphysical and spiritual at its roots, but it also has a lot of science, and that's metaphysics. It's the balance between science and spirituality, and it is the bridge in essence. And what are we doing on this ascension journey is we are essentially building and creating and becoming that bridge between our human self and our soul self. And you can look at that from a bigger perspective and a wider lens with regards to the spiritual and material realm, or spirituality and science, etc. It's all interconnected. Maybe in ways that we don't understand yet, in ways that we are just beginning to learn about, but everything truly is interconnected. And so Doctor Who, going back, Doctor Who travels with these companions, goes on great adventures through space and time, all this stuff. It's a fun show, but it has a lot of layers to it, and it has a lot of depth to it. And I first watched the show when it must have been at least 10 years ago. I discovered the show, not the original show from the 50s and 60s, but the reboot with the Ninth Doctor. He's my doctor. We all have our doctor, and the Ninth Doctor is my favorite. There's a lot of depth to it. There's a lot of heart to it. There's a lot of philosophy to it, and there's a lot of humanity to it. So in one of the episodes, all the companions come together, and the stars have gone out. And what they're doing is all the planets are disappearing. The stars have gone out, the planets are disappearing, and they band together essentially, and they save the day, as what usually happens in these shows, and they put the planets back into being. They put the planets back where they belong. And so I haven't seen that episode in forever, years. I haven't thought about that in years. So this dream was really interesting because it was a very similar feeling of rearranging the planets. Now, it was not, it had nothing to do, my dream had nothing to do with Doctor Who. But as I was trying to figure out what did this dream mean, that came into my consciousness, and I realized that that's essentially what we're doing as a collective. Is we are rearranging things. We're rearranging the energy. We are shifting the energy into higher states of being, into higher consciousness, where the light might seem like it's going out, where things might seem like it's getting dark. We are actually bringing the light back. We are, as a whole, as a collective, we are all having a part to play. And that's what the episode of the show, and I wish I could remember what that episode was. Um, it might be called Journey's End, something like that. It was a two-part episode. I'll try to remember and put it in the description box. But it was, everybody was playing their part to essentially create this shift. To, well, in the show was to save the day, but that's what this ascension journey is. Everybody is playing their part to create this shift, and that's what your individual ascension is a part of. Your individual ascension is having a ripple effect on everything, on the whole, on the collective, on the energies of the planet. And the more that you shift in consciousness to hold the energies of compassion, embody the energy of love, patience, kindness, the more that you are in alignment with your soul, with your truth, and honoring yourself and honoring others as a result of honoring yourself, then you are having this ripple effect that really shifts the energy of the planet. So that was one dream. Then, 2 days later, on Christmas Eve, I had another dream that there were two moons in the sky. And this was during the daytime. It was very bright out. And we were making sure that everyone was safe and everyone was okay. And I'm not quite sure still what that means. But it really feels like a shift in timelines. It feels like a shift in almost like there was like multiple dimensions, multiple realities. And I'm still not quite sure what that means, but that was the dream, is that there were two moons in the sky. It was very bright out. It was during daytime, and we were just making sure that everybody was safe and comforted and okay, that there was no fear in that energy field. And then 2 nights ago, January 13th, I had another dream. And I thought that was I thought that was it. I thought it was just the two dreams. But 2 nights ago, I had another dream that I was indoors and I was taking part in some kind of social event or something like that. And I was indoors and I was so upset because I felt very almost like claustrophobic and I couldn't see the sky. That's what I kept saying. I was upset. I was almost in tears. I couldn't see the sky. I couldn't see the sky is what I kept repeating. And so I snuck outside to lay down to look at the stars, and I was instantly calmed. And I got the message, it's bigger than ourselves. There's something bigger than ourselves. And this feels like our connection to the universe, our connection to God's source. And so when you're looking at the sky, you feel very small, but in essence, you are expansive. In essence, you are bigger than you realize too. Um, because you are part of the whole, because you are part of everything too. So that is what we're going to start with as a foundation. And I just want to do a little bit of a reading and just see what messages for our ascension, for our journey, for our life want to come through, especially in this time when there's a lot that is happening, there's a lot that is shifting. We're really in combat with regards to fear versus love, with regards to lower consciousness versus higher consciousness. I don't like to put it like that because that pits it against each other. It's just the process of our ascension. It's the process of our journey. But really, fear versus love. Which one are we going to choose? And which one are we going to embody? And so let's see what messages we have here. I was guided to use this sacred, what is this called? Sacred Destiny deck. So we have forgiveness. We have release. Let's see what else we have here. Let's get one more card here. I'm getting an energy and love. Yes, look at this energy here. And this at the bottom of the deck, we have healing chaos. And this is where it feels like we might be as a collective. You might be experiencing this on your individual journey. Depends on where you are on your journey. But on the other side of that chaos is peace. So keep working through your journey, your individual journey. You'll find that harmony within yourself. You'll find that harmony and that peace within yourself, that anchor into that love and that embodiment of your soul self. And the universe, the world is going through that as a whole as well. So this might feel like where we are, where there's this conflict, there's this chaos, there's this friction. Apply this to your individual life, or apply this to the collective energies as it resonates for you. But this is where it feels like there's this destruction. It feels like there's this chaos. But always remember that from destruction comes creation. You can't have an ending without a beginning. That's what Kelly Mott taught us a couple of years ago in one of their sacred channelings. All the links will be in the description box if you would like to refer back to those teachings, refer back to those channelings. I love this card because you see this storm cloud, right? You see this tornado that's just gathering and gathering and gathering, and that's the spiral, right? And we can allow ourselves to spiral. We can allow the world to spiral and just be and feed that destruction, the endings, the conflict, the chaos, all those really chaotic energies that can be fed, right? But you have the butterflies here as well. And the butterfly indicates transformation. And eventually, you can stop the spiral of the tornado. Eventually, it'll lose its power. It's this energy that's coming through of which are you going to feed? Which energy are you going to feed? Are you going to feed the chaos? Are you going to feed the despair? Are you going to feed the pain? Or are you going to allow for the shift? Are you going to allow for the transformation? Are you going to allow for the rebirth? Are you going to allow for the new? And thus, are you going to feed the love, the kindness, the compassion? Everything becomes a choice. That's where our free will comes into being. That's where our free will comes into play. And what I'm hearing is that's how the collective consciousness is created. That's how our universe is created, because we have a collective consciousness. Everything is interconnected. We're all interconnected. The more people who allow for that inner transformation, for that healing, for that growth, for that transformation, the more people who focus on the peace and the love and who embody that in their actions, in everyday actions, in conversations, in communications, in mending, in healing, in choices that you make for your life, in alignment with your soul, in alignment with love, the more that you feed that energy, the more we're going to see that collectively. And what's interesting is they're bringing me back through time and all these shifts in time. We've had the Industrial Revolution, we've had the Technological Revolution, we've had the Renaissance, we've had the Enlightenment, we've had the Dark Ages. All these time periods are actually shifts in consciousness, collective shifts in consciousness. And those collective shifts in consciousness, the root of that is the energy that was fed. So, for example, in the Dark Ages, with the Inquisition, etc., the medieval times, it was the fear that was fed, the control that was fed, the power structure that was fed. The Renaissance, the Enlightenment, what was fed there? Creativity, nurturance, support of each other. That gave birth to new inventions, new ideas, art, humanity. That's where love was fed as a collective consciousness. And so we're at a pivotal point right now. Collectively, we're at a pivotal point. Astrologically, we're at a pivotal point because you can see how there's a turning point that's happening again. Especially astrologically speaking, Pluto is moving into the sign of Aquarius. And the sign of Aquarius is all about authenticity, all about paving a new path, all about the new, giving birth to the new. And with Pluto, Pluto is all about rebirth. It's all about going deep, discovering the roots, allowing for transformation, what I like to call soul sludge, bringing up all that soul sludge so that change can happen. And that's the time period that we're in now. We are in a time period of significant collective change, a significant collective awakening and ascension. And so what energy are we going to be feeding? Are we going to be feeding the pain, the wounding, the unconscious patterns, the old behaviors, the fear, the destruction? Or are we going to be feeding the building, the creation, the love, the compassion, the kindness, the holding space, the support? Which direction are we going to be going? going through. And you can apply this to your own individual ascension. Now, I always say that it's not about perfection. You have to recognize that you're human. But through your ascension, you understand that where there are missteps or where there are mistakes, I put that in quotes because we all have those free wills and we all have the choices, and sometimes we have to play out certain scenarios and experiences to learn lessons or to have those experiences as the contrast. Oh, don't want to do that again. Oh, I don't want to experience that again. Oh, I've learned that lesson. You know, there's a clearing of karma, there's a clearing of contracts, there is an embodiment of your higher self. There's a lot that's happening all at once right now. It's all happening simultaneously. And so it's allowing yourself to shift. It's allowing yourself to transform. It's allowing yourself to write a new script, write new patterns for yourself, make new choices. And as long as you are making new choices, then that's what creates the shift ultimately in your life and for the collective. And you can see that in the collective consciousness, how we are making new choices. Some people might look at the world right now and just see utter destruction. I cannot help. I am a hopeless, helpless optimist. I cannot help but look at the glass as full, not just half full, but full with opportunity. I'm just insufferable in that way, an insufferable optimist. I cannot help it. And I see the change. I have to be aware too. I have to be a realist and be aware that there is suffering, that there is pain, that there is destruction. I'm not immune to that. We don't bypass the shadow. We don't bypass anything that's being experienced here. We don't avoid that just to be optimistic. But also, where do you want to put your focus? Are you going to put your focus on one or the other, and which feels better? Well, it feels better to believe, right? It feels better to see the good in people. It feels better to see the good in the world. And when I look around, I see that. I see the hope for humanity. I think it was Fred Rogers who said, look for the helpers. In times of crisis, in times of conflict, in times of chaos, look for the helpers. And you'll always see the helpers. Don't look at the pain. Well, look at the pain. That's part of the shadow that we have to allow ourselves to face, right? And collectively, we are facing our shadow. That's part of our ascension. You've done that on your individual journey. You've looked at your shadow. You have excavated that soul sludge, brought it up to the surface to be released. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it's also about integrating the shadow. We live in a dualistic world, but what we're doing on this ascension journey is recognizing that it's not so black and white, that there is a third path. It's not one or the other, one extreme or the other. Everything is a perspective. The best way that I know how to describe this, and we've talked about this before, is temperature. Temperature is not one thing. It's not hot or cold, it's degrees, varying degrees. And those varying degrees might be subjective based on where you are in the world, based on the layers of clothing that you have on, based on your internal temperature. So it's not hot or cold, black or white, it's varying degrees. And your perspective will always determine the degree that you're seeing. And so it's not about black or white, red or blue, hot or cold. It's about that middle path, that middle way. And as your ascension journey is learning how to walk that middle path, that middle way. And so when I look at the world, yes, I see the chaos and this destruction. And goodness, there are times when my heart just breaks. There are times when I feel defeated myself because I am human. And I'm part of this journey as well. I'm going through my own evolution. And, I always get the message to hold the light, but sometimes it's hard to hold the light. And that's where we support each other. That's where we uplift each other. That's where we encourage each other, because none of us are infallible. None of us. And so sometimes it's hard for me to stay in that energy of love and joy and peace. Sometimes I falter myself, but I always come back to myself. And that's something I've recognized about myself. And that's something I've recognized about the world too, is that we always come back to that love. You see that in disasters, or you see that in conflict, or you see that in whatever destruction is happening in the world, or whatever catastrophe is happening in the world, is you always come back. We always come back to unity. You saw that in the pandemic too, how there was a uniting, a coming together, people singing on their balconies in cities, and people helping each other. Yes, there's always going to be the lower end of that spectrum, but the more that we embody the unity, the more that we embody the love, that's what's going to be the normal. That's what's going to come to fruition. That's what's going to anchor in within the collective consciousness. And I'm seeing that, and I've always seen that. The unity. Look for the helpers. Look for the support. Look for the love. And that's what you will begin to see. And more than that, they're saying, the more you embody that yourself, the more you will see that. It's a shift within your own consciousness, a shift within your own perspective. The more you embody those energies yourself, the more that is what will be reflected back to you in your individual world. And the more that will have a ripple effect, because it will shift your energy, the more that will have a ripple effect on the rest of the world. So I want to bring it back to these cards here: forgiveness, release, and love. What's interesting is I had a client reading yesterday, and I was talking to my client about some pain that she was feeling, and we were working on releasing that. There was a real healing energy in that session, and what I said was, allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you need to feel. I think I begun to say this. Allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you need to feel. Allow yourself to cry if you need to cry. Allow yourself to shout if you need to shout, to release that anger in healthy ways. Go to the woods, shout into a pillow, go to a kickboxing class, or journal, in that sacred space, in healthy ways. Release the anger in healthy ways. Release the grief in healthy ways. Allow yourself to have a crying session if you need to. But don't attach to those stories. Don't attach to those emotions. Don't attach to those thoughts. There's that saying that you are what you believe, but you have a choice as far as what you believe. Yes, with regards to our upbringings, yes, with regards to our experiences, there might be certain beliefs that are formed, but are those beliefs real? And that's where your inner work really comes through. To allow yourself to shift those beliefs as you understand more, as you gain a new perspective, as you connect more to yourself, as you learn more about yourself, as you go deeper and deeper and deeper into that spiral of ascension. That spiral of ascension, what's happening is you're going deeper and deeper and deeper into the core of yourself, the truth of yourself, the connection to yourself, which is the soul of yourself, which is your connection to God, which is your connection to the universe, which is your connection to all. But even though it's going deeper and deeper and deeper down into a spiral, your energy is actually raising, because you are, again, excavating all that old energy, all that old soul sludge. You're releasing anything that does not serve a purpose anymore. You're clearing out the house, so to speak, so that new energy can come in. Healthier energy, peaceful energy, harmonious energy, loving energy, because that becomes your new normal. That's what embodiment is. It's your new operating system. And so the old operating system, if we're going to go with this metaphor, we've said this before, if we're going to go with this metaphor, say that our consciousness is like an operating system. Our egos are an operating system, right? It likes patterns. It likes numbers. It likes knowing what it's doing. As we connect more and more to our soul self, we have to use discernment between what is the soul and our intuition and what is ego. And so as we're doing our healing work, in the past, we would have put patches on things. In IT, they call it patches, where something's not working or something's misfiring, so IT goes in and they patch it. Well, what's happening through your ascension journey is you're actually rewriting the entire script. Think of technology. It's all coding, right? And so rather than putting patches on it to make it work, which only gets you so far, your ascension is actually asking you to go deeper into your shadow work, so that you are rewriting scripts. But you have to face yourself. You have to face those shadows in order to integrate that into the light, in order to become aware of it. And once you become aware of it, that's when you release it and shift in your energy and shift in your beliefs and shift in your perspective, and essentially become something new, someone new. You're still carrying with you your memories, the lessons, the experiences, but it's like you become a better version of yourself, more anchored in, more connected to yourself, more connected to the universe. You see things with a wider lens, with a wider perspective. You feel that peace within you. You're trusting yourself more. You're honoring yourself more. Because all that opposite of that is the unconscious wounding. Again, it's the old operating system that comes from maybe upbringing, how you were raised, how you experienced life, especially in your early years. There might have been experiences or trauma or abuse or circumstances or situations that were out not in your control, especially growing up. That's where inner child comes into play. That's where, you not just your inner child as far as the young child, the young kid, but your teenage years. There's healing to be done around teenage years. There's healing to be done around your young adulthood. All these formative years, your adolescence, all these formative years play a part in your unconscious behavior, in your unconscious patterns. And through your ascension journey, when you're activated to your ascension journey, it begins with a spiritual awakening. And there's many layers of spiritual awakening, but when you're activated to your ascension journey, that's the deep dive. That's asking you to really go deep within yourself, to understand yourself, to shift the patterns, to shift the energy, to really question what are those beliefs, where did they come from, and do they still hold true? And so that's where you have new understandings. That's where you forgive yourself. That's where you allowed yourself to release. That's where you allowed yourself to come back to love, because love is the truth of everything that you are. And so coming back to a client, I said, allow yourself to feel your emotions, whatever they are, but then and bring it up so that it's not like poison within you, so that it doesn't become sludge within you. And you can feel it. Like, you can feel the heaviness within you, and you can feel the relief when you release it. After a good cry, you feel better, or after a good, expression of yourself, you feel better. It's because you're releasing that energy in your body. Your body holds on to energy too. And so you're releasing that energy in your body. And so I said to my client, I said, affirm out loud, I release this. So that you're not attaching to the story, reattaching to the story, and spiraling back down like this tornado here. So allowing yourself to release, and allowing yourself to forgive yourself for what you didn't know, and allowing yourself to forgive others for what they didn't know. And we're looking at this from a wider lens for the collective, allowing for that forgiveness for the collective consciousness as well. Forgiving yourself and forgiving the world as a whole. And allowing for the release of that energy so that energy can shift back into love. So it's really the one creates the whole. You help play a part to creating the whole here, and your individual ascension is connected with the shift in the collective consciousness. So let's get a little bit more. I thought there was more, but they just pulled back. So let's get a little bit more and see what do they want us to know with regards to our ascension journey. These messages have really been coming in over the past couple of weeks. I mean, they've been coming in, throughout our whole ascension journey, but really stepping up with regards to the interconnectedness of all things over the past couple of weeks and the past couple of months. And it's the recognition of the unity. What is unity? Unity is the fact that we are all connected. And we're connected through that energy of love, and it's about recognizing that within ourselves first, so that we can recognize that within all. And if you're not recognizing that within yourself, that's where you might not be seeing that in all. And that's part of the journey too. That's part of the process too. So using the Starseed Oracle now, I want to see what messages they have for us for this energy here. What messages do they have for us? I just saw the card. There was a lot that popped out there, but I just saw the card at the bottom of the deck called the Cosmic Heart. And we did a reading with regards to the Cosmic Heart. I think I called it the Cosmic Egg a couple of weeks ago. So I'll put that in the description box as well. Make sure you're checking out the collective messages and those readings as well, because it's all part of the whole. It's all part of the whole. It all plays a part. When this card came out, and they're bringing this to me now, when this card came out, they showed me that tree, and that tree is indicative of that tree of life. The tree of life, we're all branches on that tree of life. That's another way of putting it. I like to say we're all unique threads in the tapestry of creation. But I like the way that they're saying it here. It's like we're all branches of that tree, and that tree is God's source. That tree is the universe. That tree is God, whatever creator, source, whatever feels personal to you, whatever you connect with personally. And that tree isn't going anywhere because that tree is the foundation. Your faith is the foundation. Whatever that faith is, whatever is personal to you. When I say whatever that faith is, we're not talking about religion. We're talking about your personal spiritual journey, your personal spiritual understanding, your personal spiritual truth, your process. Everybody has their path up the mountain. Everybody has their personal connection to God. And that's where you tune into yourself. It's you might have mentors and guides and pastors and preachers and teachers who help you along your way. But it's your personal connection to God that is the most important. And so that faith, that trust, that intuition, those are the roots. And those roots are so firmly planted in. It's not going anywhere. There are times, they're saying, where the chaos in our own lives, in the world, might feel like it uproots us. And it might feel like it disconnects us from our faith, or from our connection to ourselves, from our connection to others, from our connection to God, to the universe, whatever you want to call it. There are circumstances and situations where we might question our faith. A long time ago, I did a channeling called Crisis of Faith, where I was going through my own crisis of faith. And God said, good, ask those questions. Because in the questions is where you find the answers. In the stillness, in the silence of that questioning and of that curiosity is where you find a deeper understanding of yourself and a deeper understanding of the universe, which is the truth of yourself, they're saying. And so if it feels like you've been uprooted, if it feels like the world's been uprooted, recognize that it's not about a physical presence. The energy of God, the energy of the universe is always within you. That cannot be changed. That cannot be uprooted. Even if it feels, if you're lacking the evidence in your physical world, tune into your heart space because God is always there. God is always part of you. The roots are within your very heart. A couple of weeks ago, days ago, channelings ago, we talked about how sometimes it feels like the light inside of us grows dim, but it never goes out. It never goes out. No matter what, it never goes out. And that is because that is the universe. That is God's source's energy. That is love. It's all one and the same. It's all one and the same. That never goes out. And so the more that you connect to that light within, the more that you connect to the love within, the more you're connecting to God, the more you're connecting to the universe, the more you're connecting to the world around you, the people around you, the more you're connected to unity consciousness. It might look sometimes like the tree has been uprooted, but the tree exists within you. The tree of life exists within you. The spark of life, the spark of love exists within you. I'm also hearing a message of allow yourself to forgive anywhere where you abandoned that within yourself, or felt separate within yourself, or felt disconnected within yourself. And there might be times along your journey, even now, through this phase of your ascension, even now there might be times when you feel disconnected, where you feel separate, where you feel challenged in your faith, in your connection. Allow yourself to move through, go back to the basics and move through that process of forgiveness again. This journey is not a once and done. It is a journey. It's a process. It's an evolution. And so it's not about perfection. It's about continuing to embody deeper and deeper and deeper the foundation of that spark of life within you, of that spark of God's source within you, of that spark of the universe within you. Deeper and deeper and deeper layers of love within yourself. All right, what else do we want to hear today? What else do we need to know? Any final messages? Any final messages? Any final messages? They're reminding me how during the pandemic you always saw the phrase "we're in this together," or better together, something about togetherness. And it's interesting because even though we were experiencing what we were experiencing during that time, and that's really a time when we really came together as a world. Whatever else was happening underneath the surface, whatever else was happening, um, you know, as evidence, as data in the physical world that you could perceive with your physical eyes, energetically there was a unity that was approaching. Energetically there was a unity that was felt. Um, Energetically there was a coming together, and that hasn't been seen. It's been seen little by little in like segments of the world, but for that world to come together in that unity like that, that's what seeing beneath the veil really is about. To look at it through the energetic perspective and not just with your physical eyes. That's what walking that middle path is all about. The balance between the two worlds. We have jump in, Andromedan energy, adventure, say yes to change. But I'm just getting called to this like galaxy energy, and how it looks like the eye here is like going to the center of yourself, going to the center of your perspective, going to the center of the eye, and allowing yourself to shift, allowing yourself to change. Part of our spiritual awakening, again, it happens in layers, it happens in levels. It's not just once and done. It's an ever evolving, ever unfolding process and evolution. And so we go through layers of our awakening where we begin to see things and shift in different ways. We see the world in a different light, right? We're moving out of that matrix energy, and we're anchoring more and more into an understanding that there is an energy that moves behind everything that we're experiencing and everything that we're seeing. And I feel like where there could be resistance, now that's beginning to change because more and more people are understanding that. More and more people are at different levels and different places on their journey, but more and more people are waking up to this and creating change. And it's almost like they're bringing me back to the Fred Rogers quote, "Look for the helpers." When I look at the world, I can see how people are advocating and standing up and protesting and wanting change. When I was, sick with Lyme disease, I didn't want anybody to experience what I had experienced. So I turned that pain into a purpose, and I became an advocate for patients. And that has carried with me throughout the rest of my life. I'll be carrying that with me throughout the rest of my life. I've always advocated for better treatment for animals, animal health, animal safety, homes for animals. When the water protests happened back in the United States, I couldn't do much. I was bedridden at the time, but I was, sharing and and talking about what was happening and sharing the live streams that were happening and saying like this is not okay, because it was the Water is Life protests. It's where the water was being um, blocked. There was a pipeline that was going through, and like that's not okay, like speaking up for people's rights. And I turn around and I see so many people in so many different ways doing the same thing, and they've always done this, but you're more attuned to it now, and you find the courage to speak up for yourself. Not for yourself, maybe yes, for yourself in your own individual circumstances, but you find it within yourself to speak up, to express that now, to advocate alongside others. And more people are doing that because more and more people are waking up to the injustices in the world. It could be education systems, it could be justice systems, it could be government systems, it could be wars that they're protesting. Whatever it is, you see more and more people speaking up, and the underlying energy of that is they want better for all. It's a unity consciousness. That's the underlying energy of that. It's because we want better for the collective. We want better for the planet. We want better for people. And so there is an underlying, whatever it is that you are doing, and everybody has their role to play. Everybody has their specific path, right? One person might be, one of my, on our community connections page on my website, um, which I will focus on a new nonprofit every couple of months to spread awareness. And you guys can feel free to donate, or you can feel free to learn as you feel called to. It's just an awareness page. I shared how one of my friends has a sanctuary for horses, and for 30 years she has been taking in neglected and abused horses, and so that's her path, that's her role that she's playing. There are other people who are changing within the system of justice or within the system of education. They're changing things from the inside out, because it doesn't work from the outside in, right? That just creates more resistance. It's from the inside out. And you can take that micro approach and say that it's because you're going through your own internal evolution. You're speaking up for yourself more. You're healing those wounds within yourself. You're changing the patterns within yourself that makes you want to change the patterns within these collective systems. And that's where you have the courage to stand up. That's where you have the courage to express yourself, because you're changing that in yourself in order to do so. So it's all interconnected, from the individual to the collective. It has a ripple effect. Everything has a ripple effect. And so everybody is playing their part. It might look different for everybody. There might be somebody within the healthcare system that is, fighting for nurses' rights, or fighting for patients' rights and patient advocacy. It's going to look different for everybody based on where you're called, where your heart is called. You can't save the whole world, but you can make a change in your corner of it. And it first starts within yourself. And so that's where I see so many people are advocating and standing up. And that's how I know, because of the underlying energy. That's what gives me faith. That's what helps me believe. That's what makes me know that the world is changing. It might look like this. It might look like there is just a storm of destruction and change, but there's the butterflies too. It's because there has to be a breakdown for there to be a breakthrough. There has to be a destruction for there to be a new creation. There has to be an ending for there to be a new beginning. And so you can apply that to your individual life and see that within your individual life. But you can also see that playing out within the collective as well. So I feel like this jump in energy is getting to the eye of it, getting to the heart of it, seeing with a new perspective, and allowing yourself to take that leap of faith to make that change for yourself and make that change for the world. Because as you make the change for yourself, you make the change for the world. Let's see if there's any other messages that they want to say, any other messages that they want to share. One at a time, please. One at a time, please. Y'all, this is what I am so incredibly passionate about. So incredibly passionate about. Called, soul gifts and training. It's time to step up and stir our ancestors. Hidden secrets, lost wisdom. Look a little deeper. Okay, now we're getting to it. This is the going to be like the final messages, but it's been with me this whole reading, it's been with me this whole channeling, and it's been with me with these dreams. It very much feels like we have a lot of cosmic support. Now you can apply that by saying we have a lot of astrological support. You can apply that saying we have a lot of support from the universe, from God's source, but I'm also feeling a lot of like galactic energy here. I don't believe that we're alone in the universe at all. And whether that is physical beings or whether that is spiritual beings, there is so much more beneath the veil than what we believe or what we perceive. And so that's what this feels like. This star ancestors is so much ahead of us, especially if we're multidimensional. And if time is nonlinear, there's so much ahead of us. There's so much behind us that is supporting us still for this evolution. And there's so much here presently that is supporting us. This could be galactics, if you believe in aliens and galactics. This could be ancestors. This could be future generations and future versions that are trying to support us in this present moment. But there's so much support and so much energy and um, so much support that is helping us at this time. And what they're helping us to do is they're helping us to walk through that new doorway, because a new doorway is opening up. And we see this again, from the destruction comes from the creation. There is something new that is being birthed here. There is something new that is being created here. It's just, if we're so focused on the fear and the destruction and the chaos and the conflict, we're not allowing ourselves to see it. That's our resistance. That's our blind spot. We have to allow ourselves to shift. We have to allow ourselves to look bigger, to take a wider perspective and say, okay, from a soul's perspective, from an energetic perspective, why is this happening? It's happening so it can move us through that new doorway, because it's time for us to move through that new doorway. It's time for us to step up. Again, we can apply that to our individual lives. And as we apply it to our individual lives, it also has a ripple effect on the collective as a whole. Again, everything is interconnected. So there is a call, a push. It's like the judgment energy. It's a call, it's a push to rise. And that's what our ascension journey is having us do. It's having us rise into our highest potential, not playing it small anymore, not holding us back in old energies and old habits and old patterns and old circumstances. It's asking us to be different. It's asking us to embody more of our higher self, more of that love, more of that forgiveness, that compassion, that kindness, that patience, more of those higher consciousness energies. It's asking us for more. The question is, are we going to answer the call? And in my heart of hearts, I feel like it's a collective yes. We're going to end this here. I am sending you all so much love and so much light.